Recording in progress.
Greetings to the honorable members, to the honorable minister, deputy minister, as well as the delegation from the department, as well as our support staff. A very good morning to you all.
Morning, Chairperson. Morning, Chairperson.
Morning, Honorable
Good
Mokwele.
morning.
Honorable members,
Morning, Chairperson.
Honorable Sibanda. I just want to welcome the Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, and the delegation from the department, as well as our members and the staff. I just want to say thank you to the Honorable Minister for taking time to join us as the Select Committee. So I will request Marcel to flag the agenda.
Good morning, Chairperson, members. Good morning, Minister and colleagues. Chairperson, I just would like also to tender the apology of Ms. Breed. She's currently in another meeting. There is also...
Sorry, Marcel. Let us start with the adoption of the agenda, and then we will go to the apologies.
Yes, Chair.
All right. Honorable members, as we can see, the agenda is on the screen. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the agenda?
Chairperson, I've raised the hand.
Yes, Honorable Mokwele, and then Honorable Adrianza.
No, thanks very much, Chairperson. Greetings to you, and also greetings to Honorable Minister and all members in the platform, and also the administration chair. Without much ado, I move that we adopted the agenda as presented before us. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mokwele. Honorable Adrianza.
I second the move to adopt, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Adrianza. The agenda is adopted, so we move forward to the next item. Marcel, the apologies.
Good morning, Chairperson, Minister, members, and colleagues. Chairperson, we received an apology from Ms. Breed. She's currently in another meeting. I also have an apology from Ms. Aris and Ms. Nobo. They will be joining the meeting later. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Marcia. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the apologies?
Chairperson, I'll also want to, before I move, I also saw another apology from Honorable Chirwa on the group that she will also going to join late. And with those that they presented and the one of Honorable Chirwa, I therefore move to accept the apology before this select committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mokwele. Can I get a seconder for the move of Honorable Mokwele? Honorable Feni.
Yes, good morning, Chair, and also the honorable members and the Secretariat. Chair, I'm moving for to second the mover for the adoption of the apology. However, Chair, I also want to forward my apology to be released at 10:15, as I'm having another engagement. Thank you, Chair. Prior arrangement.
Thank you, Honorable Feni. So we adopted the apologies. So we are proceeding to the next item on the agenda. Honorable Minister, over to you for your preliminary remarks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and honorable members of the Select Committee. Let me also greet the DG of the department and the senior managers from the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. We thank you, Chairperson, for affording us this opportunity to present to the Select Committee our annual report, as well as our financial statement. I must indicate that indeed we have some good story to tell on some areas of our work. And of course, there are also areas that require our full attention. Maybe I must start by informing the Select Committee that this year, the department, in fact, during the financial year that we're dealing with, we obtained a clean audit for the department from the Auditor General of South Africa, which we believe it is a very positive milestone worth celebrating, given that this is the first clean audit which we intend to maintain as a department and of course as the ministry. Of the indicators that we had, there were 36 of them. We managed to achieve, in fact, there were 41 of them. And out of those, we were able to achieve 36, which is 88% in terms of what we achieved for the previous year. I must indicate that the AG, when he was auditing the department, he selected some programs. For instance, he selected program 2, which is mainstreaming women's rights and advocacy, program 3, which is monitoring, evaluation, research and coordination, and program 4, which is mainstreaming youth and persons with disabilities, rights and advocacy. And program 2 was selected because it carries the service delivery mandate of the department, but also the purpose is to promote good governance regarding the rights and transformation of social and economic empowerment of women. Program 3 was chosen because it was based on its purpose of providing research, knowledge management, international relations, stakeholder management, and monitoring and evaluation for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. So it is an integrating program for the department. And then, of course, program 4 was also selected because it carries the service delivery mandate of the department as well. And the purpose of the program is to promote good governance regarding the rights and transformation of social and economic empowerment of youth and persons with disabilities. And of course, the DG will therefore highlight our performance in as far as the targets that were set for ourselves during the 2023-2022 financial year, as well as maybe the work that we did with regards to some legislations. You will know that the NYDA Amendment Bill was before Parliament, and it has now been signed into law, and to the extent that we are now actually using the amendment bill, which focused on the appointment of board of NYDA. And of course, coming performance information per program, as well as their key achievements areas. You will know that for program 1, for instance, we are at 87.5 in terms of targets that we met. For program 2, which is mainstreaming women's rights and advocacy, we achieved 100% in terms of targets that we had set for ourselves. Program 3, which is monitoring, evaluation, research and coordination, we achieved 9 out of 10, which gives us 90%. And of course, program 4, which is mainstreaming youth and persons with disabilities, rights and advocacy, we set for ourselves 11 targets, and we achieved 79 of those targets. So yes, we believe that we have done some good job, but of course, some more we need to improve. We are finalizing the Disability Rights Bill and have ratified the AU Protocol on Disability. We've convened the National Disability Rights Machinery in line with the White Paper on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. A status report on climate change and its impact on persons with disabilities was also developed. as well as attendance at United Nations Conference of State Parties in New York, and supported the Deputy Minister at various bilateral and multilateral meetings during the course of the year to facilitate collaboration with other countries on disability rights, inclusion and related cooperation. Maybe to also brief the Select Committee that indeed as the department, we will be leading the Empowerment of Women Working Group for G20. We have done some work in such a way that we have submitted our issue note to DERCO, which is, but in terms of reference in the normal language that we use, we are trying to elevate the disability to the level of a working group. We're not sure whether we'll succeed on this one, but we're doing everything possible to have it elevated to the level of the ministerial working group, even if it is not done by South Africa. But of course, it should actually be established by South Africa, we believe. If we don't succeed in that one, we intend to ensure that at least it goes into the declaration at the end of the term of our G20 presidency as South Africa. We are also in the era where we are running in a heightened awareness on disability rights a month, and it started on the 3rd, which is the National Disability Awareness Month, and it will end on the 3rd of December, 3rd of November to the end of 3rd of December, which is the International Disability Rights Awareness, International Day. We have been granted the permission in the National Assembly to have a debate. We are very happy. It's the first of its kind that we have such a debate in whether in the National Assembly or NCOP, and we want to believe that maybe in future NCOP will also grant us that permission to have a debate in celebration, but also in communicating to South Africans issues related to disability in South Africa. And of course, we will be launching in Northwest Bojanala the 16 days of activism against women, gender-based violence, and femicide. And we hope that that will also be successful. We received a prevalence report from a Human Science Research Council on the prevalence of gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa. We will also, at any time, even if it is next year, be happy to come and present that report to the Select Committee, because now we have a scientific baseline from which we can deal with issues of gender-based violence, and of course, implementing our national strategic plan on gender-based violence and femicide. Chairperson, I think these are my opening remarks, and I thank you again for affording us this permission to interact with the Select Committee on the work that we did with the budget that was approved for us for the financial year 2023-2024. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Over to the DG to do the presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to the Chair. Good morning to all the members. Honorable members, good morning to Minister and the Deputy Minister and my colleagues present here. As the Minister has already indicated that the department achieved 88% of its targets, only 12% was not achieved. And the reasons in most of the instances is because of the budget. But I will present on what we did not achieve and the reasons thereof. I will not focus on what we have achieved because we have already achieved it. Val, can you go to, yes. As already indicated, that we've achieved 88%. Under program 1, Val, can you expand? Okay. No, that slide that you were at, the slide that you were at, yeah. The first slide with all the five programs. Yes, thank you. Under program 1, as already indicated by Minister, that we had 8 targets and only 1 was not achieved, which means we achieved 87%. Program 2 achieved 100%, so I will not speak of program 2. Program 3, it was 10 targets and only 9 was achieved. 1 was not achieved. We achieved 90%. Program 4 on mainstreaming, we had 14 targets. On mainstreaming persons with disabilities, we had 14 targets. We achieved 11. 3 was not achieved. The total was 41 and we achieved 36. 5 was not achieved. The next slide. Under program 1, overall performance under program 1 in relation to the set targets outlined as already indicated was 8 and we achieved 7 out of 8. Go to the slide which shows the reason. We have set a target of 100% invoices within 30 days of receiving of the invoices. However, we have managed to receive 99.88. We had received 1,717 invoices. Some of the invoices were impacted upon by the National Treasury's cutting of the budget. So some of the invoices, we were not able to pay them within that period. We had to move them to the following year so that we can pay them in the following year. And some of them were referred for verification. Thank you. That was the only one under program 1. Under program 2, we achieved 100%. So we will go to program 3. Under program 3, we had a target of integrated knowledge hub that it must be piloted. However, the knowledge hub is also dependent on finances and the system that we have in the department. We had targeted 2 progress reports on the piloting of the integrated. Val, I can't read. You've changed the slide. It's too small. We did not achieve the 2 progress reports produced on the piloting phase of the integrated knowledge hub, but the hub was not accessible for usage because, as indicated, that it is linked to the system of the department, to the IT system, and we had challenges with the IT system. So we were not able to implement the hub, but also the hub needs the designers, people who are designers, and we do not have people who will work on the hub. Hence, we did not achieve the hub, and we have even suspended it. Let's go to the next one. Can you put it in the slide form, Val? Under program 4, what we did not achieve was the South African Youth Development Bill. We had targeted that it will be developed. However, it was not developed because of the processes involved. We are still waiting for the South African Law Reform Commission, for the State Law Advisor, the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor to give us their opinion. The processes have been very long. The person who was working on the bill even went on maternity leave and all those things. So we have not finalized the bill because it was supposed to be submitted to Cabinet for Cabinet to approve that we can consult the public. We are hoping that we'll be able to get it so that we can be able to consult the public. Thank you. Under program 4 again, we had a target of integrated farming value chain cooperatives established, and none of the integrated farming value chain cooperatives have been established due to additional funding that we required, and we couldn't get the funding. But not only that we didn't get the funding, that the National Treasury also cut the budget, so we're not able to implement it. Next slide. Also, the other target was confectionery projects established. The aim was to establish confectionery projects in the 10 poorest districts in order to capacitate women, youth, and persons with disabilities to be able to start their own businesses. However, we're not able to achieve that because of the funding challenges. Go to the next one, Val. Thank you. That was the performance report. I am joined here by Mr. Mbazi Mashibiti, who will present on the HR management, and Ms. Desiree Lehwale, who will present on the financial management. Mbazima.
Thanks, DG. Next slide, Val. Thanks. Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members, our Minister, Deputy Minister, DG, and colleagues. I'm presenting Part D of the annual report. I'm presenting Part D of the annual report. Note that the human resource oversight reports are cumulative in nature and progressively add up for each. And then these were at the end of Q4, which is also the information that we use for the annual report. Approved posts 146, filled posts were 136, funded vacancies were 10, SMS vacancies were 3, and in terms of the overall percentages was 6.8 here SMS, and also the vacancy rate was 6.8%. The representation of women in senior management service positions were 53.7%, which is above the norm of 50-50, and the representation of youth under 35 years, 20.6%, and representations of persons with disabilities were 5.1. 5.1. And the training opportunities provided, it's 146. And then the signed performance agreements, we look in terms of the SMS members, they were 82.9%. And the average number of sick leave taken, 5.9%, and 5.9. And then average number of days annual leave taken, it's 19.3, which is good because it should be E22 leave. And then the next slide, which is 42, is the vacancies as at the end of March 2024. There were 11 funded vacancies, the 6.8% that we indicated, the DDG monitoring, evaluation, research, and coordination, the status at the time awaiting concurrence from MPSA, and the job evaluation to proceed with advertisement. It became vacant in January 2021. and the Chief Director Stakeholder Relations, Chief Director International Relations, Stakeholder Management and Capacity Building. Also awaiting concurrence from MPSA and JE to proceed with advertisements, and it became vacant July 2021. There was a Deputy Director, Governance and Compliance, Rights of Persons with Disabilities. It became vacant 2022, but with effect from 1 April this year, the position is filled. And then Deputy Director, Advocacy and Mainstreaming, also in the Rights of Persons with Disability branch. It became vacant February 2023. And then it was awaiting concurrence from MPSA and selection of suitable candidates at that time, but it has since also been filled with effect from 1 August this year. And slide 44. Oh, sorry, we're still in slide 43, I'm sorry. The Deputy Director, Information Communication Technology. It's a newly created positions, and it was filled with effect from 1 April this year. And as Assistant Director, Strategic Planning and Reporting, it became vacant 2023, and also it was filled from 1 April this year. And Internal Auditor, it became vacant in 2023, but the post has been advertised. We received quite a number of applications. The process is underway. And the Private Secretary, it became vacant 2023. It was decision the previous executing authority, but we had a person seconded from Department of Basic Education. The Senior Secretary, Chief Director, Office of the Director General, it became vacant 2023. At that time, it was waiting concurrence from MPSA. So those were the positions that became vacant. But we had contract positions as well up to the end of March. So the contract, slide 44, please. Slide 44. Yeah. Because we don't have position like DJ was indicating earlier in terms of sometimes treasury cut budget and stuff like that. So in between, we have to maneuver and be creative in making sure that we close the gaps, especially where they don't utilize from the position. So the governance and compliance, because the post was vacant, like I'm saying, we appointed October 2022 to 31 March 2024. Deputy Director, Organizational Development, April 2023 to 31 March this year. Assistant Director, Fraud, Ethics and Corruption, October 2022 to 31 March 2024. A Senior Admin Officer, Advocacy and Mainstreaming, Rights of Persons with Disabilities, 1 January 2022 to March 30, 2024. Admin Officer, Governance and Compliance, Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And I'm sorry for the spelling, ARPT, 1 June 2023 to 31 March 2024. And the Graphic Designer, November 2022 to 31 March this year. Admin Clerk, Advocacy and Mainstreaming, 15 July 2022 to 31 March 2024. Accounting Clerk, 21 July 2022 to 31 March this year. Bench Control Clerk, 21 July, also to end of March this year. Senior Personnel Officer, Human Resource Administration, 3 October 2022 to 31 March 2024. Personal Aid, Governance and Compliance, RPD, 1 November 2023 to 31 March this year. Personal Aid, Governance and Compliance as well, RPD, 18 May 2023 to 31 March 2024. Personal Aid, Advocacy and Mainstreaming, Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Previous slide, please. Yeah, 1 March 2023 to 31 March. and also the driver messenger, because the department at all doesn't have a driver messenger, 1 November 2021 to 31 March this year. So the terminations, the last financial year, we did not have any dismissal, but we have got resignations 8, which is 26.7%. Retirement, at that time, we didn't have anybody who retired, but transfer to public service departments, 1, which translates to 3.3%, and expiry of contractors and linked to term of office of former minister. And then also death, which we had 1 death, and then which there were 30 in terms of people who left the system. Next slide, yes. So in terms of achievements and challenges, the redesigned organizational structure and post establishments were approved by the executing authority on 18 April 2023, following concurrence therewith by the Minister for Public Service and Administration, and a change management process is being managed to migrate to the new architecture. While the revised structure made provision for the creation of additional 18 new posts from the reprioritization of funds under office accommodation, this did not materialize due to the unfunded 2023 wage agreement that necessitated all departments in the public service to manage their headcounts within their baseline allocation. Operational plans for the 2024 financial year for health, employee health, and were compiled and submitted. Only 2 of the intended 18 additional posts were funded, and namely the Deputy Director Labor Relations and Employee Health and Wellness, and the Deputy Director Information Communication. And these 2 positions were newly created positions. It was a new created position just to come and assist those areas that were found wanting. And AG, of course, were raising some flag with us. And the vacancy rate, like I indicated, is 68 within the annual target of 10%, which is less. The annual target related to the medium-term expenditure framework human resource plan was met by submitting the Q3 and Q4 for year 3 reports were submitted to DPSA. A detailed business case has been developed to request an increased MTF allocation for the department to address 3 years. We started with the business case at that time, but it was since finalized this year and signed by our current minister. The areas that we're looking at: compensation of employees to resource and ideal organizational architecture. There's an ideal structure that was submitted, which was consulted, also signed off by our current minister, and sent to Minister of Finance. Additional goods and services requirements such as capacity be increased, including tools of trade. The DPSA Circular 49 of 2023, on 17 October 2023, DPSA issued Circular 49 of 2023 regarding a directive on the implementation of control measures aimed at assisting executing authorities in managing fiscal sustainability during the process of creating and filling vacant posts in departments. In terms thereof, all vacant posts have been blocked on PESA. Before creating or filling any vacant post on the approved structure of the department, all units and posts, but especially in administration, concurrence must be consulted and obtained by the executing authority from the Minister of Public Service and Administration. The Chief Financial Officer is expected to advise the department on the financial implications of creating or filling critical posts and confirm the availability of funding for the MTF. The creation of new posts or upgrading of existing posts is prohibited. All funded vacant posts must be abolished manually on PESAL by 31 October 2023. No salary payments for appointed employees, permanent or on contract, may be done through BAS. And the circular was applicable till 31 March and has since been extended to 31 March 2024. 25. Thanks, Titi.
Good
Thank
morning.
you, Mbazima.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
CFO,
thank
you can
DG.
come in. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, DG. Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, Minister, Deputy Minister, DG, and colleagues. Thank you. I'm going to do a presentation on the performance of the department in terms of finances in the previous financial year. I will then request Val to move to slide number 51. In terms of the achievements of the department for the financial year under review, the department achieved 3 consecutive unqualified audit opinions from the 2020-21 to 2022-23 financial year, despite pending investigations into regular expenditure from previous financial years, which were submitted to National Treasury subsequent to the investigation for condonation. The department cleared 86.67% of the 15 audit findings raised during the 2022-23, which were implemented during the financial year under review, that were on the audit action plan of the department. Over the past 3 years, there were no material misstatements in the financial statements, and non-compliance audit findings were significantly reduced. As a result, as the Minister has indicated in the beginning, the department received a clean audit opinion for the 2023-24 financial year. The department successfully spent 99.9% of its final budget of the financial year 2023. There was significant improvement in payment of invoices, with 99.99% of invoices paid within 30 days during the 2023 financial year. The department also exceeded its 40% procurement target for women-owned entities and achieved 72% in the previous financial year. Irregular expenditure was reduced from 719,000 to zero irregular expenditure in the 2023-24, and no unauthorized expenditure has been reported since the 2019-2020 financial year. Next slide, please. In terms of the challenges that were experienced by the department, they are as follows. There were persistent budget cuts over the financial years that had significant impact on the delivery of programs and the human resource capacity within the department. The following are the key challenges experienced by the department during the 2023-24 financial year, and those are mainly linked to the budget cuts that were introduced by National Treasury, and they led to a reduction in the scope of programs through scaling down on planned activities prior to the budget cuts. And the department had to make difficult choices regarding where to allocate resources, leading to inefficient use of what remained and sometimes neglecting important areas. Delays in program execution or suspension of some of the projects was experienced as a result of the budget cuts, which affects the department's ability to fully meet its goals. The inability of the department to adapt to new challenges, such as technological advancements due to lack of resources to train staff or upgrade existing systems. A reduction in professional development and training opportunities for staff, affecting their ability to stay updated on best practices and new regulations. Next slide, please. In terms of the annual appropriation per program of the department, the final budget of the department was 1 billion for the 2023 financial year, worth 118 million that was allocated to administration, 118 to Mains Program 2, which is responsible for mainstreaming women's rights and advocacy, 42.7 million to Program 3, and lastly 727 million to Program 4. I must indicate, Chairperson, that it is critical to note that of the allocated budget of the department for the 2023 financial year, 793 million of the 1 billion was earmarked for transfers to the two entities, which is Commission for Gender Equality and the National Youth Development Agency. And the department was only left with 200 million for its operations. And of the 200 million, only an amount of 64 million was left for implementation of key projects as outlined in the APP and the operations of the department. However, the department spent 991 million of the allocated 1 billion, and there was an amount of 15,319,000 that was not spent by the end of the financial year. Next slide, please. We also collected revenue amounting to an amount of 454,000, and we received aid assistance to the tune of 65 million. And in total, the actual amounts as received by the department for the 2023-24 financial year amounted to 1,072,000. Next slide, please. In terms of reasons for variations per program, on Program 1 administration, there was an amount of 1.5 million that was not spent by the end of the financial year. The underspending was linked to posts that were not filled during the financial year, as reported by Mr. Mpazima on the HR report that there were vacant posts during the period and by the end of the financial year. On goods and services, there's an amount of 8.2 million. The underspending is linked to the approval of the request of the 8 million as part of the Second Adjustment Budget Appropriation Act that was approved during May 2024. During the 2023-24 financial year, National Treasury implemented budget reductions, and the expenditure needed to be managed to ensure that there's no overspending that may lead to unauthorized expenditure. The expenditure incurred during the current financial year in April and May will form part of the 2023-24 financial year expenditure and part of the rollover request that was submitted to Treasury by 31 May 2024. I can report that the application was approved by a National Treasury, and we are awaiting the tabling of the adjustment budget so that the department can receive the allocated 8 million. Under Program 2, Mainstreaming and Advocacy, there's an underspending of 925,000, and is also linked to vacancies that existed by the end of the financial year. On goods and services, 371,000, and this is also linked to the budget reduction of the 8 million. On transfers and subsidies, we had 5 million, and the underspending is linked to the approval of the request by the CGE of 5 million as part of the second adjustment that was also approved in May 2024. Program 3, Monitoring, Evaluation and Research, underspent by 822, and it was mainly on compensation of employees due to vacant posts. Next slide. Next slide, please. We also received funding as indicated from the European Union as part of the sector budget support program. The department received donor funding for implementation of the Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Program. since 2022-23 financial year. The purpose of the fund focused on implementation of the capabilities of South African state to be gender responsive. For the 2023 financial year, a total budget of 53.3 million was allocated. This total amount comprised 585,000 that was carried over from the previous financial year's allocation of 9.2 million, as well as 14 million received in May and July 2023 respectively. Additionally, an amount of 30.2 million was received in February 2024. The department spent 8.6 million during the 2022-23 financial year, funded by the 9.2 million that was received during the 2023-24 financial year. In the 2023 financial year, a total amount of 12.5 million was spent, leaving a closing balance of 31.7 million. This remaining amount will be returned to National Treasury in accordance with the rules and regulations governing the donor funds, with a request to reallocate the amount by the end of October, which is currently within the bank account of the department. The salary expenditure for 15 consultants who were stationed across various provinces and head office amounted to 8.3 million. These consultants were distributed as follows. In Gauteng, they had 2 consultants, KZN 3, Eastern Cape 4, Mpumalanga had 1, Limpopo 1, and head office employed 3 consultants. In addition to these expenses, further costs were incurred due to the budget reductions imposed by National Treasury, which affected the launch and closing events of the 16 Days of Activism campaign. There were several ongoing projects by the end of the financial year that required the carryover of funds as they had not been completed by the end of the year. And these projects include an amount of 1.4 million allocated for a research on the gender mainstreaming strategy, 1.3 million for analysis of the 2022-25 integrated development plans and the district development model, and lastly 1.4 million for the South African National Policy Framework. We also received a CARA funding through the Department of Justice and Constitutional Department. The department received an amount for implementation of the following objectives. 1, to enhance the coordinated efforts for the widespread preventing approaches of GBV with the ultimate goal of bolstering the delivery capacity in South Africa and strengthen national capacity to address the GBV scourge and facilitate reduction and elimination. The program was earmarked for a period of 3 years from 2023-24 to 2025-26 with a total amount of 35 million. The department received the first drawdown amount of 12.6 million in February this year. Currently, the program is in the first phase of implementation due to the late release of the funds to the department. The next slide is a representation of the breakdown of the expenditure of the department per economic classification as presented in the previous slide. I gave narrations on the reasons for variances as they appear on the slide. Next slide. As indicated on a compensation of employee, the total amount not spent by the department at the end is 3.4 million, and the underspending is due to vacant posts at the end of the financial year. On goods and services, the underspending is mainly linked to the approval of the request for the reversal of the 8 million that was reduced during the 2023 financial year. On transfers and subsidies, The 5 million not spent is the reversal of the reduction that was imposed to CGE by National Treasury during the financial year under review, and the amount of 1.8 million overspent on payments for capital asset was mainly due to payments of the ICT infrastructure installation on the new building that was delayed by SITA from the first year of occupation of the building by the department. Next slide. In terms of unauthorized, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, the department did not incur any of the expenditures, the unauthorized and irregular in the 2023 financial year. However, there was a fruitless expenditure amounting to 36,425 that was recorded by the end of the financial year linked to the GEPF payment, and is mainly the interest due to late payment. The matter was referred to internal audit for determination of facts, and consequence management was instituted to officials that were involved in causing the late payment. On report on deviation, overall the department approved deviations amounting to 3.2 million for the financial year under review. And the categories of the deviations are mainly due to continuation of services, extensions of services, obtaining less than 3 quotations as a result of poor responses from the market, and a single source, and variations where there was a need for extension of orders that were initially issued to various service providers. Chairperson, the rest of the slides make references to international trips or engagements that the department engaged in during the financial year under review, and the events, campaigns, and capacity building workshops that were conducted by the department. Thank you, Chairperson.
This was the last presentation, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG. So thanks to the Minister for her remarks, as well as the DG for the presentation, as well as the other senior managers for their part in presenting the presentation. Honorable members, we have received the presentation. Is there any input or questions of clarity that you want to ask? Yes, Honorable Adriansa.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I want to refer to the last couple of slides on the traveling expenses. It wasn't clear to me. So first of all, I would like to thank the Honourable Minister and the department for the presentation. And then I would like to ask these questions because it varies. There was approximately 12 million spent on traveling. And if you go to the slides, you'll see it varies from 250,000 and more per day to less than 1,000 per day per person. So I would like to know what's the overall budget for travel and for everything in the fiscal year. The second question is, how are these expenses allocated for overseas, for international travel, local travel, etc.? And how is it included? Where is it included in the departmental budget? Because maybe I missed it, I didn't see it. Then, particularly this, what specific criteria are used to determine the travel expenses? And are there specific guidelines for if you go to Russia, you get this, and if you go to China, you get that? I just need to understand that. And what is included in this presentation? Are there car rentals included? Are there safety included? It's not clear and stipulated. It's just the amount. Then on slide, let me just check which slide. I think it's 82. There's two amounts that are exactly the same for the two events or two whatever. And yet the amount of people who attended or who was budgeted for is totally different. Then how is the compliance with these expenses monitored? And what criteria are used to justify the necessity of travel for each trip?
Hmm.
How do we benefit from each trip? Thank you. And then is there a process for the employees who go on these trips to provide feedback on what they experience? Say, for instance, a conference, do they report back on the conference and what valuable inputs they received there, and feedback regarding the travel expenses? And what measures are in place to improve cost containment in departmental travel? Thank you. I think I'm done.
Thank you, Honorable Adrian. Honorable Sibande.
Thank you, Chairperson, to give me this opportunity, and also to thank the Minister to avail herself, because some ministers, others, I don't know what's happening. Right, nevertheless, let's go to some of the things. Chairperson, first of all, under the financial management, slide 51, let us commend, which is very progressive, the irregular expenditure, which was reduced from 719 to 0 in 2023-2024. But nevertheless, there are areas where we need some clarities as well. Chairperson, I've got a concern in some of the things about the use of consultants in terms of, the line function. For me, you see, very disturbing that they've used altogether, I won't unpack them, 15 consultants, if I'm not mistaken, with an amount of 8.3 million. That is the duplication of human resources in terms of line function. Why don't we use the employed people, which are directors and deputy, etc.? Why we use so much money? And then also that there was a complaint in financial management in terms of this thing of fruitless expenditure, which is 36 point something million, which two officials which were involved. What happened with those officials? Are they arrested or what? Because my little experience is that some of the officials, they were doing some of the atrocities, and then towards the account, before the account, they resign and get another job in the same way. Like if he was a director, I'd get another directorship somewhere, somehow, because the case was not yet finalized. So what happened? What procedures is being done in order to make a follow-up with these two people? And then also, there is a thing which is worrying me, Minister, which they have raised about the persistence of budget cut over the financial year. Visa, the European donor, which is 53.3 million rands. If you can have a clarity on that one, that how does it affect us while we're, about this persisting of a budget cut while we do have donors contributing as well. And then also, you see, which is worrying me, the issue of reason for deviation and various, the underspending, which is linked to vacancies. You see, why is worrying me, Minister? You see, somewhere in slide 44, during the input in slide 44, there was a comment which they've raised that they are able to maneuver and be creative. Why they are not creative in order to make, and why they are failing to maneuver and be creative in order to fill some of the vacancies. I know I'm very much clear about the procedures and also the issue of protocol. What is happening? Why is it delaying? You see, I'm not satisfied. I won't just keep quiet about the issue of the vacancies which are still empty, while there are a lot of people who are not, I mean, graduates which are not employed and the like. And as far as 20, these vacancies, they've said, as far as 2022, some of the vacancies, as far as 2022, I mean, 2021, they've said 11 funded vacancies as far from 2021. I know that there were vacancies in 2029, some they were filled in 2023, but why does it take so long? Why does it take so long? But because with these 11 unfunded vacancies, Westport is funded. If they were not funded, that was something else. So I will be very much grateful if they can maybe assist us thus far. No matter the report they say is clear, whatever, but there are still these challenges, you see. And what else? There's a thing which worries me lastly, Minister, the issue of what they spoke about, this thing of what is it, farmers, project for farmers, yeah, for youth and young unemployment. You see, to me is very, very, very much, which is not there. I think it's program 4, which were not achieved. The issue of the South African Youth Development Bill and the issue of integrated farming value chain and the issue of they spoke about this thing confessionally project. The thing is this, which is worrying me. Why? The question is why most of the things which are supposed to help in terms of service delivery, because if you empower youth, if you empower women, that's where we are having serious problems in terms of high rate of unemployment. The percentage is very high. So why then this thing were not, I mean, I know that the process of the bill is taken up, but why is not achieved? Because if this thing was fast-tracked, it was going to make a difference in that regard. And in the portion of the disadvantaged people, which are most affected, the integrated farming is worrying me so much. As we're facing the current situation about the issue of some people taking advantage of poisoning food, poisoning what. But if we were creating our own, it was going to be less the challenges we were facing. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sibande. Honorable Aris, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, Chairperson. Chair, I just want to check on slide 11. They make a reference that they have made a deferment of 9 million for goods and services. I want to check with the department if they can give us a breakdown. But then on slide 12, there's an underspending of 15 million in the budget, that's a major concern because it's an underspending of goods and services. Then I think the previous speaker has touched on the consultants, and because we need to get a breakdown on what services is this consultants render and why can this not become full-time employees positions. And then on slide 13, what reason for the underspending on the donor funding of 52.7 million, and what accountability measures need to be put in place for underspending? And specifically, it was for women access opportunities and women empowerment, as we currently are facing lots of unemployment in the country. On slide 14, there's a 12.3 million. And does this mean that it was not utilized for the purpose that it was donated for, as the country are grappling with the scourge of GBV? And then on slide 16, service providers, I noted on that service provided, there's an Altron Carabina. I don't know if I pronounced that name correct. that is the service provider that take the biggest chunk of all the contracts. I want to check, Chairperson, was it allocated to get to this service provider, and what is the reason for using that service provider, since it is quite huge amounts? And then on slide 17, can the department provide us with a detailed report on the 7 million claim that emanated out of the disciplinary hearings? They must give us a report on what is it that this disciplinary hearings entails. And then on slide 17 again, the department, specifically for people living with disabilities, to employ only 7 people living with disabilities, it is quite pathetic. And what is the plan to employ more people with disabilities, and how many people with disabilities are in senior positions? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Aris. Honorable Du Plessis, over to you.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Thank you, Minister and Department, for the presentation. There are a few things to celebrate. For example, the AG report shift and a few other things within the report. However, I have a few questions with regards to why we haven't received the full annual report. As well as the fact that on the website, the last annual report that was posted was for 2019-20 and 2020. Could we get the full report? And I suspect a lot of the questions might be answered or should be answered within that report. Then with regards to the overview of all the programs, every program from program 2 onwards comes with various reports, and that is pretty much the only APPs. So it would be 2 reports, re-implementation of comprehensive national GBV prevention strategy, and that continues throughout each program. I have 2 questions related to that. First, could we receive these reports so that we can be privy to what these reports say? And secondly, are these reports being implemented? How are they being implemented, and how are they used? And the big question I asked or the reason I'm asking the last question is, this is a department that was established in 2009. And it seems the vast majority of these reports are foundational reports that should have been written at least within these 15 years that the department has been existing. But could we, and however, let us see what happens, what is actually written within those reports, so that we can have a look, and that is in every single program. For example, program 3 has 4 status reports. There's an inception report, there's a monitoring report, and no definition or description of these reports are given. So that's one of the big things there. Then, with regards to the department under program 2, it says there were 4 interventions with regards to discrimination against women, 4 interventions with regards to youth, people with regards to youth and people with disabilities. What are these 4 interventions, and can we get more details? Then, with regards to the reports on BRICS, could we also be privy to that so that we can see what is happening there? The Knowledge Hub is concerning also because there has been expenditure over many years or a few years with regards to the Knowledge Hub, and what is the end result for the Knowledge Hub. Then with regards to the HR report, there are no organograms. So could we get an organogram with regards to what the department looks like and the structure of the department and who does what and reports to who? I'm also incredibly concerned about the report saying only 7 people with disabilities have been hired in the 136 people that were hired recently. Then on slide 45, there are 2 personal aids for the same in the same function. Why are there 2 with regards to that? And then in the financial management, there's a massive concern for me with a lot of the events, both local and international travel. I'm going to go through them very quickly. The first one that is massively concerning is the local events. Can we please do them on Zoom? And I'll say which ones I think can be done in Zoom so that there is less expense there. And we can accommodate the budget cuts, even though there's underspending, and that's something I still don't quite understand. We also have no reports on the multiple international trips, who went on them, what were the outcomes, how are things implementing, and how are things changing. An example that I find quite perplexing is there was an international forum with regards to women's rights in Russia, but in Russia, rape and abuse is actually not an illegal act. So why did we go to Russia? What did we learn in Russia with regards to women's rights? Then we have the closing of the 16 days and the launch of the 16 days. Both of them cost quite a bit of money. What was done in those two events, also with regards to closing of 16 days, the amount spent on it in a year almost doubled. Then the sanitary dignitary implementation framework surely can be done on Zoom. It did cost quite a bit of money. We also then had an agricultural value chain workshop. But it was then said that there was no budget to implement that APP that would have made quite a big difference. Why did we have a workshop rather than use that money as to implement the APP? Then on slide 101, there is an expenditure of R500,000 for 2 participants to go to the launch of the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. So for 2 participants, R500,000 is quite a concern. Then the data costs are not unpacked. It just says data costs. That would be something that we do need to see. We also do need to see, it keeps on saying NYDA paid for a specific event. However, the amount is not given. It does fall under, and it is something that one does need to do oversight on, especially with all the allegations with regards to NYDA. Then there are a few other questions, but those I'll ask written. The 40 under 40 event, I'd like to find out what the matrix was for the determination of the winners, as there have been some allegations with regards to untoward processes that were put in place for the winners or to determine winning. Then in general, I'm quite, I don't see any engagement with education departments. When we start talking about women's rights or the youth or people with disabilities, a lot of it, as you know, and it says in the mandate, is advocacy, but there are no platforms within basic or higher education that advocacy is happening to ensure that we break the cycle of abuse and also the cycle of rape culture as defined by the United Nations Sustainable Development Committee as one of the biggest causes for GBVF. And that would be it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Du Plessis, Honorable Mokwele.
Thanks, Chairperson. Greetings to members, all protocol observed. Chair, it's just unfortunate that the Honorable Sibanda has covered me on a lot of issues that he raised. Don't want to start wasting time again. But mine, Chair, is only first and foremost, let me welcome the presentation from the department and also to appreciate what the department is intending to do, in particular in making sure that the life of people, in particular the youth, and even more importantly, the people with disability, they are taken care of. But Chair, like I indicated, that Honorable Spanda indicated, has covered me on some of the issues that he raised about the issue of while we are welcoming the issue of the clean audit that they also say they want to maintain, which we really appreciate, but we wanted to know that is their clean audit also correlate with the work on the ground? That is what we are interested in. But I should think that as the select committee, we need to be not be too harsh to the select committee, as it is the very first time they are coming before us. I also want to agree with them when the minister was also indicating to us that they wanted us to afford them the opportunity in our plenary, so that they are able to explain what is it that they want to do as the department. Remember, Chair, when we were doing oversight during in particular in the Western Cape, we also find that some other situation of people who are disabled, those that they were put in the home care based area, which I also wanted us that, like I'm saying that because it's the first time they come before us, so that in future they must just also tell us the plan, as because remember, even though we are still going to adopt that report, Chairperson, from the Western Cape, the indication that we are getting it was the issue of funding, that the NGO that they were responsible to assist in that regard, they were not getting proper funding from the government, which I also wanted them in future to come and give us that presentation. Because remember, honorable members and even the chair, this department to us is very critical, because now people with disability, it doesn't mean that when a person is disabled, he cannot contribute immensely on the economy of the country. So we wanted us as the select committee together with the department, so that they are able to tell us what is it that they will do, so that the environment in which the people with disability they are living, they are getting improved. But with those two words, like I said, Honorable Sibanda has covered me. I don't want to repeat what he's saying, so that when they respond, we are not trying to confuse them. Those are my input, Chair, and thanks very much for affording me the opportunity. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Makwele. Thank you, honorable members. From my side, Honorable Minister, DG in the delegation, there was a 40% procurement target for women-owned entities. So the department has achieved 72% during the financial year under review. My question is, what were the procurement target for youth and persons living with disability-owned entities, and what percentages were achieved by the department? The other one is the department had receipts of 454,000 as income. What kind of receipts are this? If you can get a breakdown as the committee, and then there was this contracts that the department is still having in the human resource unit. Why are these vacancies not filled? Because some of the contracts starting dates are from November 2021. Honorable Minister, DG, you can respond as far as you can verbally, but we as a committee would like the answers in writing in 7 days, Minister. But over to you, Minister, and the DG to respond to the questions that was asked.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if Minister will want to say something first.
Let us request the DG and the others to respond, and then the Minister can close.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think also my colleagues here will also respond. I will cover the areas that they didn't respond to. I would like to start with the CFO. CFO, there are issues of the budgets of traveling and all those. Can you please respond to that?
Thank you, DG. In terms of the allocation for international travel, it's allocated in the International Relations Unit, which is in Program 3, and the criteria that is used within the Department for Car Rental and Insurances is guided by the Travel and Subsistence Policy that is aligned to the National Treasury Framework on domestic and international travel. On issues of the use of consultants, these are not consultants that we appoint as service providers. These are the technical monitors and the data capturers that are appointed across various provinces in the country, and they are remunerated in line with the public service remuneration for officials within the public sector. If one consultant is appointed at the DD level, the remuneration of that consultant will be equivalent to that of a deputy director within the public sector. The reported fruitless expenditure for the department in the previous financial year is not 36 million, is 36,000, and that is mainly the interest that was accrued as a result of the late payment of the government employee pension fund portion, and that was as a result of changes in the systems that were introduced by GEPF, and that was not communicated to the department, and the interest was generated by the system, and the officials that were involved in these transactions were subsequently attended to in terms of implementing consequence management following the determination of facts by the internal audit within the department. In terms of the implication of the budget cuts in the department, as indicated in the presentation, when National Treasury imposed budget cuts to the department, it means that firstly, we need to scale down on activities to be able to remain within the allocated budget after the budget cut, so that the department does not report unauthorized expenditure at year end due to overspending of the budget. And also the question was, why is it that the department is struggling as a result of the budget cuts whilst we have donor funding? Donor funding is informed by the business case, firstly for EU, that is approved by EU and National Treasury. And within that business case, there are objectives and projects that are approved for the department to implement. And therefore, the department is limited to comply to the set objectives and the project as a result of the business case that have been approved. When budget cuts are introduced, it is not possible for the department to make up for the affected activities and redirect them to the EU or the CARA fund. That is similar. A similar principle applies to the CARA fund, wherein when the funding is approved, it also has its own conditions and the projects that are pre-approved that the department must comply to in terms of allocating this money. The underspending of the 15 million, let me explain that this 15 million, it includes the 8 million and the 5 million, which is 13 million of the budget that was reduced by National Treasury during the 2023-24 financial year. The department and CGE made a business case to National Treasury requesting the reversal of the 13 million, and the approval of that reversal was only made in May 2024. Now, in terms of the accounting treatment of that 13 million, the guideline from National Treasury was that it must be included in the appropriation statement on the financial statement and reflected as an underspending. Basically, was it not for the 13 million that was reduced from the previous financial year, the underspending of the department should have been 2 million and mainly linked to the vacancies that existed by the end of the financial year. On the issue of Alton Karabina, Alton Karabina was appointed as one of the approved service providers by Microsoft for the Microsoft licenses. And because the department was operating on an unsupported environment and that posed risks to the department, the Auditor General, during the audit of the 2022-23 financial year, raised an audit finding in that regard, and the department had to improve the ICT environment to be able to mitigate the risks that were identified by AG. CETA was the entity that was responsible to do the implementation in terms of the improvement of the ICT environment. However, there were challenges that were experienced by the department wherein CETA didn't come into the department. They even made mention that they don't have the ability to be able to deliver on the services, and therefore the department had to apply for a deviation for continuation of the services in terms of addressing the issues that were raised by AGSA. I think Chairperson and DG have responded to most of the questions that are finance related. Those that I've not responded to through you, DG and Minister, they will be responded to in writing. Or on the issue of the 454,000 that was received as part of revenue, the breakdown of this is mainly on staff packing and the sale of redundant assets and the payments that is made by the medical aids around the administration of payment of the medical aid contributions of officials to various medical aid. There is a fee that the medical aids are paying to the department as part of administration of that process. Thank you, DG.
Thank you. Just to add to what the CFO has said, the 36,000 irregular expenditure, there are two officials who were responsible for that. We have instructed them to pay back that amount. And also on the issue of traveling, South Africa is a member of the international community from SADC, AU, UN, BRICS, G20, and others. So in Brazil, Russia, the visit to Russia, South Africa was the chairperson of BRICS last year, and the department hosted a women's empowerment forum. The department handed over to Russia. Not that the department was going to learn on rape and the others, but the department handed over. Thank you very much. I would like to invite Mbazima Chibiti to talk about issues of HR that have been asked. Is Mbazima here?
I'm here, DG.
Yes, respond to some. Some will respond in writing, but you can respond to some that have been asked.
Thanks, DG. I'll respond to some, like, for instance, they refer to slide 41, yeah, employing 7 people with disabilities against the 146 people that were appointed. Yes, yeah, we appointed 7 people. Also, it's in line with the 2% target, but we're way above the 2%, and it's 5.1%. But of course, as a Department of Persons with Disability, in terms of also the latest cabinet decision last year, which we need to achieve 7% by 2030, we've put it also in terms of our plan moving forward. But it's as of now above the 2% target. But the 7 people that were appointed with disabilities. It's only then moving forward also is to appoint different type of disabilities in the department. Yes, there was also mention of 2 personal aides in slide 4. Why do we have 2 personal aides for the same governance and compliance? So the clarity there, we have got 2 managers. One is a chief director, governance and compliance, who need a personal aide, and the other one is a deputy director, governance and compliance. They are in the same chief directorate, but they need their personal aid separately for them. So the other one, I think, 11 funded positions that were there at that particular time. Like we're saying, sometimes the control measures that DPSA introduced last year, it affected because there were new measures that DPSA has introduced, but we're working on it. Those positions will be filled. Hopefully, it might not be all of them, but majority of them will be filled in this current financial year. If I've missed something, DJ will, like you say, will put it in writing. Thanks.
Thank you. Benis, there was a question on NYDA and 40 under 40. If you can respond now, you can. If you put it in writing, you can indicate.
Thanks, DG. Good morning, honorable members. I would like to respond on the question on 40 under 40. There was a question regarding the nomination process that is followed and the screening process. I just want to say that 40 under 40 is managed by a civil society organization. There is an open online nomination process which is actually followed in order to identify the qualifying candidates. And there are 40 categories or 40 sectors within which young people can, be nominated. The aim is to ensure that we recognize young people who are excelling in various projects. And those young people should also be under the age of 40. They should have actually demonstrated that they have impacted their immediate communities through the projects that they are involved in. And the online process is open so that competent persons and company can nominate those young people, and then supporting documents are submitted and vetted by an independent research committee. There is a vetting of the information that is submitted, and then that will then be followed by a public voting process based on the award category. And then these awards are supervised by an awarding board of eminent persons who manage and guard the credibility of the award process. And those, the awarding board is composed of the minister, is also composed of the CEO of the NYDA. They are representative from the private sector as well as civil society organizations. And then once the candidates have been screened, there is a shortlisting where the nominated candidates are notified directly, and then shortlisted candidates or finalized are then published, and the winners are finally announced during the under 40 award ceremony. So that is actually the process that is followed in nominating the finalists. And other questions that we will respond in writing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the issue of the report saying NYDA paid, for the Youth Month, launch of the Youth Month, NYDA is the one that normally pays, but the report will be submitted. Also, the report will be submitted, the full report, full annual report will be submitted. I apologize that we didn't include it, our apology, because it was supposed to have been included. And the reports that were requested on gender-based violence will be submitted. But also there was a question on why our reports seeming to be foundational reports when the department was established in 2009. The mandate for coordinating the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence is a mandate that started in 2020. So some of the reports is because of that. It follows the National Strategic Plan, and now the bill that has been approved, the act that the president has now even proclaimed, so that it's effected on gender-based violence and on establishing the National Council on Gender-Based Violence. So some of them are mandates that have been added to the department. The organogram will be sent. Events at international and local have already been reported. Some of the events are, even though they are local, they are international events like your 16 days, but the 500 that was referred to slide 101, 500,000 for 2 people to attend 16 days is not correct. The 500,000 was contributing to the hosting of the 16 days by the provincial, by the province, because it was hosted in Mpumalanga. The department had to contribute because the responsibility for hosting is that of the department, but the province was the one that was hosting, so it contributed. The department had to contribute 500,000. Those that traveled there traveled on their own, not on the 500,000. The engagements on DBE, we will send a report. We do work together with DBE, and DBE is also part of the interdepartmental task team that is looking at the implementation of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence, and the department is now also included in the act, the act on the establishment of the on the act on the National Council on Gender-Based Violence. There was a question on the 40% on procurement from government. What was the percentage for youth and persons with disabilities? 30% for youth and 7% for persons with disabilities. Any question that we have missed, we will submit in writing within the next 7 days as instructed by the chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll hand over to the Minister.
Honorable Minister, are you still on the platform?
I think we lost the minister.
No. Then I just want to thank the Honorable Minister in her absence, as well as the DG for availing yourself to come and present the annual report of the department to the select committee. And we would also like to thank you for the responses on the questions that was given to you. I will request the support staff to engage with the department regarding all the other questions that was not answered. And then, DG, I will now release you and the officials of the department so that we as the committee can proceed with our agenda. You are released. Thank you very much, DG.
Thank you, Chair. However, I would like to apologize to the Deputy Minister because she's here. When the Minister was not speaking, I should have indicated that she's here, that maybe she should close. But
yes, if she has something to say, she can close. DG. Honorable Deputy Minister, over to you.
No, thank you so much, Chairperson. Good morning to you, Chair, and members of the committee, including members from our department. We do apologize. Possibly our minister have lost connection accordingly. But I want to really assure members of the committee that the report aligns to the annual performance plan that was presented and that was also approved and also reported to the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disability. We did indeed review and focused on the areas of strength, but also areas of weaknesses in terms of this. But I think maybe it's also important that members of the committee could read the report also aligned to the Auditor General's report, which actually demonstrates significant improvement of the work of the department, but also accountability framework and compliance that is consistent to improving the outcome that is desired. So we really want to appreciate the selection committee, the committee in this regard, and for indulging us and our team to presenting this work. All the outstanding questions that the Secretariat will engage the department, and we will put it in writing to satisfy and also to bring confidence to members of the committee. But we really do want to appreciate the time afforded to the department. Thank you, Chairperson and members of the committee.
Thank you very much, DM. So you are released as the department as well as the DM.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Marcel, you will indicate if we can proceed.
Chairperson, yes, we can proceed with the minutes of the 13th of November. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Marcel. So, honorable members, we now at the agenda point of the minutes. The minutes is on the screen. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the minutes? Honorable Duplessis and Honorable Adrianse. Honorable Aris, can you please lower your hand? I think it's still a legacy hand. Honorable Duplessis.
Honorable Chair, I move to adopt the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Duplessis. Honorable Adrianse.
I move to second the adoption, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Adrianse. We now at I think it's other business, the item of other business. Honorable members, like we have seen in the order paper of today, as the chairperson, I must present the oversight report to the plenary, but I will just indicate to the honorable members that we have sent out the invitation letters to the two MECs so that they can come and present the so that they come and present what we as the committee have indicated they must present on. It will take place on the 4th of December at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but today we, as the chairperson, I must present the report. So, honorable members, if you have a take on that one, over to you. The floor is open. Honorable Adrianse.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I just need to know, will this be hopefully a physical meeting?
We will make sure that it is a physical meeting, Honorable Adrianse.
Okay,
For the
thank
meeting with the MECs, yes. Honorable Bande.
Chairperson, thank you very much to give me this opportunity. What I wanted to request from you, we are requesting these MECs to come physical, not visual. If it's visual, yes. Forget.
No, we will request them physically. We will just give them another indication that it's going to be physically on the 4th of December.
Because this ministers, they are making a mistake. My chairperson, I'll put an example. Do you still remember there wasn't a debate on water and sanitation when the Minister of Water and Sanitation gave an example, a comment, to say that during her tenure as a chairperson, some of the things never happened like this. Some ministers, I don't know how do they take us. They don't take us serious. Even in their own areas, they don't come and participate. I think in one of the oversight visits in Gauteng, if you recall very well, we nearly not started the meeting because the MEC was not there, but he came urgently and apologized. But somewhere, somehow, there are MECs who doesn't respect us. That is not, I don't have an apology on that one. That is not accepted. If it happens that they apologize and wanted to give us visual, from my side, sorry. I don't know what to say, but I'm saying sorry, that's all. Thank you, bye.
Thank you, Honorable Sibande. We'll make sure they get the indication that it must be physically. Honorable members, and the other one is the final mandates. We can't proceed in terms of that because the C list and D versions is still at the printers. So the Parliament follow, as we all know, we are following supply chain management processes, and we are hoping that we will receive it this week so that the provinces can finalize their final mandates and so that we can adopt that final mandates, hopefully next week. Is there any other member that wants to have a take on this one? If not, honorable members, I just want to thank each and everyone for availing themselves for the meeting. So the meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, honorable members.
Amandla ngowakho, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, honorable members.